Hello! So I've had a few requests recently for adding a few more dessert options to my yoga for athletes. So I've been kind of going maybe a little bit too hard at it, and I've started these Zoom classes too. So it's all very active and not very, I don't have so much restorative stuff up there. So I had a pretty heavy training weekend there. So I'm probably in need of it myself. So it's just going to be a nice, gentle, restorative practice for in and around the 30 minutes. Good if you have some water, just to keep yourself hydrated. Blocks if you have them, or a couple of big thick books. Towel or a strap, maybe an extra towel for padding, a cushion maybe. Again, we mightn't use any of them, just to have them there is always good for these restorative classes. So we're just going to start nice, easy, cross-legged at the front of your mat. So if cross-legged isn't good for you, you can always sit back onto the heels or extend your legs out. Just checking in that we're sitting nice and long into our spine. So if you find we're slouching in, this is where the cushion can come in nice. So we can just sit up onto our cushion, allowing us to tilt our pelvis forward a little bit more, get that lovely length into the spine. You can use a block. These are a little bit too high. So you don't want to be too high tilted forward, you're not really getting that same benefit. So we're going to open the palms to the ceiling, draw the shoulder blades back together down the spine, just feel that lovely openness into the chest. We're taking a few nice little circles into the shoulders, feeling any little niggles, any little crunch within the shoulders, and then we'll bring it into the other direction. Get nice large circles, just really getting into the shoulder joints here. And then come into stillness. We're going to inhale the arms out, reaching up, interlocking fingers, pressing the palms, exhale it away. Inhale, arms out, reaching up, interlocking fingers, exhale it away. We'll do 3 more like that. And we're going to inhale up one more time, interlocking fingers, and as we exhale, we're going to press the palms forward, but we're going to try and keep the spine nice and long. So we're pressing the palms, the chest forward, gaze goes forward, no stress into the neck here. And we're really sitting back into the sit bones, and then we can place our hands out in front wherever they land. So we're not trying to just touch the ground by curling into the upper back. We're keeping a nice open heart here. As we inhale, see if we can walk the fingertips out a little bit more. And as we exhale, just release the head down and let it go. And again, you could be right up here, that's totally fine. Once you're keeping that nice length in the spine, you're feeling a little stretch into the glute. So depending on what way your legs are crossed, and you're feeling a nice little bit of space into the lower back. So just thinking about inhaling, creeping those fingers forward, exhaling, release. So allow the head and neck relax wherever they're at. Every exhale, we're trying to access a little bit more space into the lower back, into the glute. We're going to inhale, again, just walking the fingers forward a little bit more. And as we exhale, we're going to walk the hands all the way over to the right. And then rest the head down, flatten out through the hands. Again, if the head's quite close to the mat, you can always bring a block or a cushion and totally take the weight out of the head. Feeling that lovely stretch into the glute here, lovely stretch along the left hand side of the body. We're going to inhale back to centre, and then we're going to exhale it all the way over to the left. And again, inhale, reaching out through the fingertips, and then exhale, release the head, release the neck. Really sitting that right sit bone back onto the mat as much as we can, getting that full extension into the right hand side of the body. Every exhale, release a little bit more. And then inhale back to centre, and then exhale, sitting right back up. We're just going to reverse the crisscross of the legs here. Again, palms open, nice long spine, shoulders roll together, down the back, away from the ears, and we'll inhale arms up into locking fingers. Exhale, pressing it forward. Again, as far as we can go, and then resting the hands out in front. So again, we're trying to keep that space into the chest, that length into the spine, really sitting back into the sit bones. As we inhale, creeping the fingertips forward a little bit more, and as we exhale, just letting that head, letting that neck fully relax. So think about the breath just really releasing into the muscles, into the joints. Try not to hold on to the breath. So if we're holding the breath, we're not going to get that full benefit of that release. Every exhale, a little bit more. We're going to inhale center, and as we exhale, we're going to walk it all the way over to the left. Again, as far as we can go. And then rest the head, rest the hands, rest the neck. Feel that lovely stretch along the right hand side. So depending again on which way your legs are crossed, you should feel a lovely stretch in the other glute this time. Really surrender to the breath here. Imagine the chest, the belly, everything just hanging out and letting go. And then inhale back to center. And then exhale it all the way over to the right. Again, as far as you can go, and gently release. So again, if we're quite tight in the lower back and hamstrings, we are going to find it quite difficult to fold. But again, even if you just access even like half a mil every time you do this pose, you're going to feel the benefits over time. And it might be years before you're down on the ground. But again, it's not a competition. Once you're getting some benefit, something within your body that makes you feel better, that makes your body work better, just release into it, relax into it. And then inhale back to center. And then exhale, we're going to sit right back up. So from here, so we're facing the front of our mat here, sitting in and around the middle. And we're going to extend both legs out in front. We're going to hug the right knee in toward the chest, but just until the right foot gets just in line with the knee, and then we're going to shift our hips forward to meet it. Okay, so the reason we're doing that is if we hug it right in, we still have that kind of curve in the lower back, but if we kind of bring ourselves up to meet it, we have more of a chance of keeping that length in the spine. And we're going to cross that right leg over the left. We're going to extend that left arm out in front and give that right leg a nice little hug in toward the body till we feel a nice little stretch into the right glute. That left foot is active. We're going to inhale that right arm up, and as we exhale, we're going to rotate through the right shoulder, resting the heel of the hand to the lower back. And again, we're not falling back into that hand. That hand is just there as an extra little prop to get us nice and long in the spine. As we inhale, lengthening, sitting tall. And as we exhale, working that right shoulder back, gaze goes back over the shoulder, and we should feel a lovely little release into the right glute here as well. Every exhale, seeing if we can access just a little bit more space into that twist, really releasing through the spine. As we gaze back over the shoulder, maybe even getting a little release into the left hand side of the neck. And then slowly inhale back to center. From here we're going to uncross the legs. Going to hug both knees in, and then we're going to extend that right foot out. Again, the foot just comes in line with the knee, and then we'll hug the body in to meet it. Crossing that left leg over the right. Nice active right leg here. And with our right arm, we're going to really wrap it around that left leg. Looking for the stretch in the glute here more than anything to start with. And then we'll inhale that left arm up, and as we exhale, rotating through that left shoulder, resting the heel of the hand toward the lower back. And as we inhale, lengthening the spine, and as we exhale, looking back over that left shoulder, trying to get the front of the body almost parallel to the side of the room. And work with the breath. So particularly in these twists, that lovely deep belly breath. So trying to get the breath as deep within the belly as we can, and then allowing it to travel up through the ribcage, through the chest, and just let it go. And then slowly inhale back to centre, extending both legs out in front. We're going to bring the feet wide here. I'm actually going to face you for this, but you're on your mat. If you've got quite tight hamstrings, which I kind of do after the weekend, feel free to put a little towel, a little padding, a little block underneath the hamstring that we're stretching into. You might need it, but just to have it. And then from here, we're going to bend that right knee, and we're going to bring the sole of the foot to touch the inner thigh. We're going to reach for our towel or our strap. So again, at this stage, you can place a towel, cushion, whatever it is underneath that knee, if you're particularly tight. If not, it's okay. We're going to bend that left knee. We're going to get our towel or our strap, wrapping it around the ball of that left foot. As we inhale, sit nice and tall into the spine. As we exhale, we're going to press that left heel away. So we're keeping that openness in the chest. We're not rolling into the upper back at all. As we inhale, lengthening. As we exhale, see if we can fold forward a little bit, releasing into that hamstring, but keeping the spine nice and long, keeping the chest nice and open. And we might walk our hands along the towel. We mightn't even need the towel, so depending on where that leg's at. And again, that stretch into the hamstring, you should only feel it in the belly of the hamstring. So it shouldn't be in here at the knee, shouldn't be up here at the sit bone, just right in that nice fleshy bit. And if you do feel it anywhere else, you're backing off. Okay, so we're just looking for a nice deep stretch. The more you draw those left toes toward the face, the more you're going to feel it into the left calf, maybe even into the Achilles. So again, we're inhale, lengthening, exhale, release. You can keep it active or work with your breath. Last couple of breaths here. And then slowly release. From here, we're going to bring that right hand behind the body. As we inhale, we're going to come onto that right knee. We're going to press the hips up toward the ceiling, and we're going to extend that left arm up and over. We're really pressing that left foot into the mat. We're going to inhale back to centre, a little bit of movement here, and we're going to exhale, lift, extend. Inhale, back to centre. Exhale it, lift, extend, really press those hips up. Inhale, back to centre. Exhale, extend. We're going to hold it here for 5, for 4, just really feeling that lovely space into the front of the body. For 2, and 1, and release. Lovely. We're going to bring both legs wide again. Again, hugging that left knee in. Allowing the sole of the foot meet the inner thigh on the right side. Again, adjusting the hips, the sit bones until we feel nice and long as much as we can in the spine. We're going to bend that right knee. And again, if you need something underneath that right knee joint, feel free to take it. We're going to wrap our towel or our strap around the ball of that right foot. Inhale, lengthening into the spine. Exhale, pressing the heel away. And again, just feeling nice and comfy here. That left knee, if it doesn't feel very supported, again, you can always get a little cushion and just take the pressure out of that as well. So we shouldn't really feel any pressure there. We're just getting a nice little bonus opening into the hips. So we're going to inhale, lengthen nice and tall. And as we exhale, we're going to draw the chest forward, hinging from the lower back. So not from the upper back, lower back. Keeping the spine as long as we can. And again, you might need the towel if you're already quite open into the hamstrings and lower back. Feel free to take any variation in this pose that you wish. And again, you're feeling that stretch into the belly of the muscle. So not near the joints, just in that fleshy bit. And if the leg starts to shake, just back off a little bit if it means just bringing a little extra bend into the knee. So that shaking in the muscle just means we're contracting into the tissue. So we're not really getting that benefit of the stretch. In fact, we might even be making it worse. And drawing those right toes toward the face. Last couple of breaths. Take the weight out of the head here if it feels good. Still keeping the chest and spine long. And then slowly release. We can release the towel off to the side. That left hand comes behind, fingertips facing back. We're going to inhale, lifting the hips toward the ceiling, reaching back through those right fingertips. So again, feeling that lovely stretch into the side waist, into the front of the body, into that left thigh there as well, right into the ITB band as well. And then we're going to inhale, center. And then we're going to exhale, lift. Inhale, center. Exhale, extend. Inhale, center. Exhale, really pressing those hips high. Inhale, center. Exhale, holding it here for 5 breaths, really pressing that right foot into the mat for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly release it down. Lovely. So we're coming back onto our mats here. Again, just checking in you have your props within reach. We're going to lie back onto the mat for the next little bit. We're going to bring the arms out in line with the shoulders. We're going to cross that right leg over the left, shifting the hips a little bit to the right, and then allowing both knees drop over to the left, coming into a nice little spinal twist. Gaze goes over the right fingertips, so the opposite way to where the knees are falling, and that right shoulder is glued to the mat, so we're keeping that lovely space in the chest. As we inhale, think about lengthening through the spine. As we exhale, allowing those knees drop over a little bit more. Really releasing into that twist. Every inhale again, really filling the belly, really exaggerating that breath into the belly. And as we exhale, release. One more. And then slowly release it back to center. From here we're going to come straight into our figure 4. So that right ankle rests just below the left knee. We're working the right knee away. That right foot is active to take the pressure off the right knee joint. And again, we can just stay here, keep the lower back nicely grounded into the mat. Or if it feels good, we're going to inhale that left foot off the mat, bringing the shin parallel to the ceiling. And then we can either interlock our hands around the back of that hamstring, but only if we can reconnect the upper back and shoulders to the mat. If that's not happening and we're rounding, we can get our towel or our strap, wrap it around the back of that left hamstring. As we inhale, working those shoulder blades together, lengthening the spine. And as we exhale, working that left knee toward the face. So feeling this right into that right hip, right glute. Lovely release here. Working with a lovely full belly breath. So we're inhale, lengthening, opening, creating space. And then exhale, working into that space. Making sure that lower back is connected to the mat, so we're not rocking and rolling. Again, if we are, make sure you're using the towel, or maybe draw the left foot down until you get that connection. From here, we're going to release that left foot down. Keeping the left foot grounded, we're going to hold the right knee in toward the body, and then we're going to draw it outside the line of the body, so it's coming toward the right armpit. And then from here, we're going to see if we can get the sole of the foot parallel to the ceiling. We're either going to hold on to the calf, to the ankle, to the inner arches of the feet, or we might interlock the middle and index finger around that big toe. So we're coming into a bit of a half happy baby. If you can, if your hamstrings are feeling all right, we're going to extend that left foot out fully. See if we can imagine the back of the left knee literally kissing the ground. As we inhale, we're pressing the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling. And as we exhale, we're drawing that right knee outward a little bit more. Notice where that left hip is at. You might want to place that left hand onto the hip bone to really ground that side of the body into the mat. So again, we're inhale, pressing upwards. Or exhale, drawing downwards. And feeling that space into the front of the hips and particularly into that right hip joint. Slowly inhale and right knee back to center. We're going to hug the left knee in to meet it. And then we're going to extend that right foot onto the ground, crossing the left leg over the right. So both knees are bent here. Arms extended out in line with the shoulders, shifting the hips a little bit to the left, and then allowing both knees drop down to the right. So if you find you're quite restricted in that twist, even just that slight little shift of the hips to the left allows you to create a wee bit more space for those knees to fall. And then we're keeping that left shoulder grounded onto the mat. Gaze goes over the left fingertips. And as we inhale, lovely deep belly breath. And as we exhale, releasing into that twist. So again, just really wringing out the spine, the abdominals, all those core muscles. Nice little release into the left glute here. Maybe even into ITB. And again, the more you work with the breath, the more you feel that energy in that space within the body. Last breath here. And then slowly drawing it back to center, coming straight into our figure four. So that left ankle rests just below the right knee. Inhale here. Again, nice little flex into that left foot. Grounding the lower back into the mat, and then we're going to lift that right foot off the mat, interlocking hands or a towel around the back of that hamstring. So the right foot's relaxed, but the shin is parallel to the ceiling. As we inhale, walking those shoulder blades together, maybe even tucking the chin a little bit to realign the back of the neck with the spine. And as we inhale, we're lengthening, and as we exhale, we're drawing that right knee a little bit closer toward the face. Again, feeling that lovely release into the left glute. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can always bring the outer blade to rest onto the thigh, the outer blade of that left foot. And we're working that left knee away, and we're working that right knee toward us. Last breath here. And then slowly releasing that right foot down. We're going to hug that left knee in toward the chest. And as we exhale, we're going to draw that left knee outward. Again, we're going to bring the sole of the left foot as parallel as we can to the ceiling, either holding on to the ankle, calf, inner arch of the feet, or interlocking the middle and the next finger around that left big toe. And again, we can either keep that right knee bent as it is, or if we feel okay and we want to lengthen into that hamstring and get an extra little stretch into the front of the right hip, extend out through that right foot. So we're pressing away through that right heel, drawing the back of the knee toward the mat. We can place that right hand on the right hip bone, just really draw that side of the body down onto the mat. As we inhale, pressing the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling, and as we exhale, drawing that left knee down toward us on the mat. So use the breath here to get a little bit deeper into those hips every exhale. So tendency is just to hang out here, but really try to engage in that active breath. So you're thinking about lengthening, pressing away on that inhale, and then deepening, accessing space on that exhale. Last breath here. And then slowly releasing the grip. Hugging both knees in toward the chest. We're going to crisscross at the ankles and just make a few little circles onto the lower back. Just massaging out the lower back and glutes, and then reversing it in the other direction. Lovely. Then coming to stillness, we're going to take 3, 4, 5 rocks forward and back along the mat, allowing that motion massage the full length of the spine. And again, you can choose just to come right up to sit if that doesn't feel good for you today. And when you've taken your 4 or 5 rocks, we're going to come right up to the front of the mat, and we just do a little series of cat-cow curls right into the spine. So coming straight into our tabletop. So again, fingers are widely spread, shoulders in line with elbows and wrists, hips just immediately over the knees. God, I'm all tongue-tied today. If the knees are a little bit niggly, you can always flex the feet to release them. Otherwise, you can flatten out. Or if you feel a little bit crampy into the arches of the feet, again, just keep a little flex into them. Getting your neutral spine here. So we're not dropping the belly, we're not lifting the back, just that nice little space in between, engaging the core. As we inhale, we're going to press the chest forward, lift the gaze toward the ceiling, arching through the spine, just feeling that lovely bit of space into the front of the body. You're going to feel a wee bit of compression into the lower back here, so I want you to really work the chest forward. Exhale, pressing into the mat, curling through the spine. We're going to tuck the tailbone under and really stretch through the shoulder blades. Release the neck, release the head. So we'll speed that up a little bit. Inhale, gaze goes forward and uplifting. Exhale, curling through the spine, gaze back to the belly. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, curling through, release. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, curling through. Taking it with your own breath. Anywhere you feel particularly niggly, maybe take an extra breath or two into that space. So use the movement to get to that little point of tension, to get to that little niggle. Or just if you feel something particularly nice, take an extra breath there too. Why not? Last rotation. And then leaning back in tabletop. So we're going to tuck the toes under if they're not there already. And we're just going to sit back toward the heels, allowing the head and neck rest, and just get a nice little stretch into the soles of the feet. Really pressing the balls of the feet into the mat, really pressing back through the heels. And then when you're ready, we're going to lift the hips up and we're going to come up into a nice active downward dog. So we're not going to be too active, we're just using our downward dog here to access a little bit of space into our lower back, into our hamstrings. So I want you to really spread through the hands. Any pressure is just in the finger pads and knuckles. So you can even make a little grip with the hands, little claw grip to release the wrists. And then we're pressing the mat away. We're lifting the hips up, we're releasing the lower back, and then we're dropping the heels down. And then just gently walking it out. So just using our downward dog to get a nice little stretch into the hamstrings, into the calves, and maybe even into Achilles. Feeling that space in the lower back. And then we're just going to rock the hips side to side as we walk. So take a little swagger to your walk here. Feel that lovely extension into the side waist, that little bit of a stretch into the glutes. Maybe looking out underneath opposite armpits. Getting a little bit of a rotation, a little bit of a twist into the walk. And then come into stillness. We're going to come down onto our knees and then we're going to come right down onto our bellies. So while we're on our belly, we're just going to go into a little bit of a quad stretch here. So we're going to come to our sides. So resting nice and easy. And often I'll do my quad stretch with my legs in line, but I often feel by doing that I'm actually spending more time trying to keep that composure within the body and I'm losing the stretch. So what we're going to do today, we're going to bend that left knee and we're going to draw that left heel toward the bum, but then we're going to bend that right knee out in front, so that the hip and knee are in line, knee and ankle are in line. So we've got all these lovely 90-degree angles. And you'll actually feel a deeper stretch into that left quad by doing this. So just see how it feels. Don't go too deep too soon. So my hip is in line, my left hip is in line with my knee. And then my right hip, knee and ankle are all at 90 degrees. Try to draw the heel of that left foot toward the bum and try to keep the knee down, so we're not coming up here We're trying to keep it nice and even so the hip is in line with the knee. Lovely little stretch into the quad here. And then all the energy that sometimes you feel when that leg is out, I feel like I'm using a lot of energy to try to keep that alignment. By just drawing that knee out in front, I'm actually accessing a little bit more space into the quad and even into the left hip here as well a little bit. So just see how that feels. Again, try to keep the core engaged, and even as you engage your core, you'll feel that stretch a little bit more into that left hip. So it's all connected, all the fascia running over the muscles, the joints. Again, if you feel the muscles starting to shake, just back off a little bit. Last couple of breaths here. And then we're going to move it to the other side. So again, I'm just going to turn around to face you so you can see me. So again, we're onto our left arm here. Again, we can start with the hips in line, legs in line. And then we can draw that right heel back toward the bum. So my knees are still together here, so that knee isn't splaying out as much as possible. And we're really drawing that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bend that left knee out in front. And we're going to keep that right knee in line with the hip. Okay, so left hip, 90 degrees, knee and ankle. Right hip, straight in line with the right knee. And we're drawing that right heel toward the bum. Again, try to engage the core so that we're keeping a nice length into the spine, and you'll actually feel the hips press forward a little bit and you're having to work a little bit harder to get that stretch. So try to work with all the muscles engaged, because that's the way we work. So if we just focus on one muscle, if we just isolate one muscle, not mirroring, it's not a reflection of reality. So when we're doing whatever we do, or sport or everyday activity, we're not just using one muscle at a time, okay? We're all working in tandem. So the same goes when we're stretching into them. We need to think about the muscles around what we're focusing on. So we are focusing on the quad. We also need to keep that core engaged so that our lower back is released as we're stretching through the quad, and we're getting a deeper stretch into that muscle. The last few breaths here. God, I could stay here forever. And then slowly release. Lovely. So coming back up onto the belly. We're going to get a little bit deeper into the hips here. So we're going to come into half frog pose. So I'm actually better facing you this way. This one. So we're going to start with the left. So I'm just on my forearms to start with. I'm just going to bend that left knee out to the side, and then coming into a half frog pose. So hip is in line with knee, knee is in line with ankle, ankle in line with toe. So those lovely 90-degree angles again. Okay, and I can start on my forearms. See how that feels. If it's a little bit too much, you can just recline, make a little pillow with the hands, or use a little cushion to support the head. Okay, and just play around with where that knee is at. So if it's lower here, you're not really going to feel it so much. In line is perfect. If you want to get a little bit deeper, you can draw it a little bit further up so it's a little bit higher than the hip. And again, you're going to feel it a little bit more into the front of the body and into the lower back. We come on to the forearms. Again, just check in. So we're in a little bit of a sphinx pose here. And again, if you're on the forearms, we're engaging the core, we're working the chest forward. And then see here if you can actually release that left glute. So that bum muscle has a tendency to switch on. So we're trying to just really let it go. Working that left inner thigh toward the ground. Okay, so that's the action we're looking for to get that release. Relax the head and neck. Work that left knee in a little bit more if it feels good. And we're working both hips toward the ground and that inner left thigh to meet the ground. Might never get there, but just that motion toward the ground. Again, we could hold it here for a lot longer. Just a nice little deep release into the leg. We do this in a double frog pose, but sometimes it's nice just to work on one side at a time so you can really release into it. But we will go over to our right side now, just a couple more breaths. Again, really releasing on that exhale. And then slowly releasing that left foot back to meet the right. We'll make a little pillow with the hands and just gently rock the hips side to side, because that is quite a little intense little opening into that left hip. Nice little release into the glutes. Just massage it out, rocking side to side. And then we come back up onto the forearms. We're going to bend that right knee this time. Leave all your props out of your way. Come into our nice little frog leg. So again, nice 90-degree angles, hip to knee, knee to ankle, ankle to toe. So that's a nice active right foot, so we're protecting that right knee joint all the time. We're on our forearms if it feels good, or if you just want to totally relax into it, make a little pillow with the hands, but don't lose that movement of the hips toward the ground and that inner thigh, that right thigh toward the ground. So if you are relaxed into it, think about what you're doing in this pose. Think about what you're trying to access. So we're going into that right hip, that right glute. And again, if we're on our forearms, we're still working that chest forward. We're keeping the core nice and active. So we don't want to be dumping into that lower back as much as we can. So keep that nice openness into the front of the body. And relax the head and neck. Again, even draw that right knee out a little bit more. Maybe even draw it a little bit up toward the front of the mat. So experiment with where it feels good. And again, just because you went to a certain place on one side doesn't mean the other side's going to necessarily want to get there today. So just respect any little imbalances happening in your body today. And just even noticing them as a step to hopefully fixing them or working with them. Again, every exhale, releasing a little bit more. And really pressing that right hip, that right inner thigh toward the ground. The last few breaths. And slowly release. Oh, lovely. So from here, we're just going to make it into a nice traditional child's pose. So coming onto our knees, we're going to sit back onto our heels, and we're just going to stretch the hands out in front, maybe even make a little pillow with the hands, and just really sit those sit bones back onto the heels as much as we can. Just giving those glutes an extra little breath, an extra little bit of space. And then coming back up onto the mat, coming back into our tabletop. We're going to tuck the toes under, press it back into our downward dog. We're going to inhale that right leg up, looking forward. We're going to step that right foot into lunge and come immediately gently down onto that left knee. Coming high up onto the fingertips. We're going to inhale, lengthen through the spine, draw the chest forward. And we're just going to lift that left knee off the mat. Holding it here for 3, for 2, and 1. Release. We're going to walk that right foot to the outside of the mat. Coming onto both hands. And then we can choose to stay high up on a block here or on our fingertips and work into a nice little chest opener as well as the hips. Or we can choose to just focus in on our hip area. So we want to keep that right knee in line with the ankles. We don't want to track it out or in or back or forward. And then we can walk the hands forward as far as is comfortable. We might come onto a block even at this stage. We might come onto one forearm, two forearms. We might come all the way down onto the ground, taking the weight out of the head. So whatever feels good to you, okay? So it's not a competition of how low can you go. We just want to get to a point where we feel that lovely release into the hip. And then just release it, let it go. We're walking that left foot back, so we feel a little bit of an extra stretch into the front of that left hip here. But the main focus here is that right hip, that right glute, a little bit into the right hamstring. And keeping that space in the spine, particularly that lower back. And just release fully into the pose. And even within the pose, you might feel during it, ooh, I think I can get a little bit deeper. Or you might feel during it, oh, I think I just need to back off just a little bit and then come back into it. Okay, so do get to the point where it might be uncomfortable, but just don't get to the point where that uncomfortable has become pain or tingling or numbness. Okay, so uncomfortable, we can breathe through. Sometimes we need to be a little bit uncomfortable to access that extra bit of space, but it should never be pain. So listen to your body. Your body is your best teacher. Last few breaths here. And again, we could stay here for a lot longer, just really working into that deeper fascia. So that lovely tissue that runs in bands, connecting all our muscles, tendons, ligaments, bones. Just really enjoy that release. And then slowly, gently coming out of it. Hand rests on the mat in front or on a block. We place that right hand just below the knee on the right, and then we're going to look back over that right shoulder, bring in a little twist and release into the pose. Feel an extra little bit of space into the front of that left hip. For 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly releasing it back to center. Both hands come to the mat. We're going to tuck that left toe under, and we're going to really gently draw that right foot back to meet the left. And really, really gently walk it out. Again, feeling that lovely release in behind the legs, but particularly paying attention to what's going on in those hips. Come into stillness here. We're going to inhale that left leg up, looking forward, stepping left foot into lunge. Dropping immediately down onto that right knee, untucking the toe. We're going to draw the chest forward, pressing back through the sit bones, and we're going to inhale that right knee off the ground, only if it feels okay, holding it here for 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly releasing it down. We're going to walk that left foot to the outside of the mat. Again, checking in that left knee is immediately over the left ankle. And we're going to go into that left hip. So again, we can choose to stay high up on the block, high on the fingertips, working that chest open as well as getting that lovely opening into the hips. Or we can walk the hands forward. We can come a little bit lower, a little bit lower. We might use the block. Again, forearms. We might come the whole way down. So wherever we're at, we want to try to keep the spine as long as possible so we're not curling forward. Nice